Can you guys hear me okay? So hopefully I get to talk to Rachel Nee. Hey, Rachel, how are you?
Fabulous.
Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. Can you hear me okay?
Definitely. Cool.
Okay.
Well, hey, thanks for joining me. I wanted to have you on my live stream because, I have a lot of followers that actually live in Burlingame, would love to know a little bit about yourself since you're running for city council. So maybe we can start out by you just telling me a little bit about how you began living in Burlingame.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very excited. I've always watched you too. Um, so back in the days, I actually came to Burlingame a little over 20 years ago for a job. So I moved from Southern California up to the Bay Area working at the Hyatt. I started at Hyatt Regency San Francisco Airport, and I just fell in love with Burlingame. That was over 20 years ago. And then I had an opportunity to purchase a home in South San Francisco because you know how expensive Burlingame always has been. And
What?
it's so
What are
hard
you
to
talking
get.
about?
No, right? So it was so hard to get in. So I starting off small and I bought my little 2 bedroom, 1 bath home in South San Francisco. And 12 years later, um, that was just 2 years ago, my dream come to reality. I was able to purchase a home in Burlingame.
Awesome. That's a great story. But I do have to ask you though, because I mean, I know you're a highly successful realtor. So, what possesses someone who's already successful in your own right to go into politics?
Okay, that's a great question. Let me tell you another story. I as grew up in Taiwan, so realistically, I was never into politics, and I'm busy. You know how busy we can be on daily basis, but um, it took me almost 20 years to be able to move to Burlingame. It was a dream come true, and what I see in Burlingame, there are some areas I really like to see. They work a little differently. It's such as we have a really infamous. Most recently, we do have the California Drive, and I live one street off California Drive. It takes me 40 minutes or 45 minutes some days to drive one kid to BHS, then the other to BIS. So 45 minutes within, I would say, 3 mile radius.
Yeah,
It it's a hustle,
for sure.
and and also they are building this 1200. Everything's under construction, right? They approve so many plans, which is a state mandate. The housings, and they are building about 1,200 unit. Out of 1,200, less than 200 are for sale, which is, I think there will be a lot of renters coming in. But the biggest issues, they are not improving the infrastructures. And I mean, everything's probably in under the work, but at the same time, it took me 6 months to try to get my house 100 amp to 200 amp.
Hmm.
And so I think there's a lot of work need to be done in the schools, mostly at a capacity. And when there's almost, that's just 1,200 unit, that's just like 2,000 people going to move in here. And we definitely need to see some schools improvements so we can accommodate more kids
Hmm.
and change the drive lane into bike lane. I, they are trying to slow the traffic down, which by
Right.
all means that they have to do what they have to do to slow the traffic down. But at the same time, we don't have the good public transportation. And with all these people coming in town and all the cars, and I think infrastructure definitely need to be worked on.
Well, let me kind of just kind of summarize your thought
Mhm.
there, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think ultimately there's going to be more units. There's going to be more high density buildings that are being built currently. And I think one of the concerns that you have is that there's not going to be enough infrastructure improvements to accommodate all of these new residents. Would that summarize it correctly?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Okay. Yeah. And so I totally get that. And I think a lot of times people don't realize one of the major draws of Burlingame is the schools, right? So most of the time, we're not talking about just maybe one new tenant or two new tenant. We're talking about like families, right? With a lot
Yes.
of people
Mhm.
all moving into a small apartment
Small town.
just
Yeah.
so they can take advantage of the schools. Now, I
Yes.
mean, not criticizing that that is what it is, and that's fine. But I think your kind of platform is really that's fine if you want to build it, but we have to devote a lot more attention on the infrastructure itself so that we can accommodate these new people. Would that be fair?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, one of
So
the things yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, no. So the other thing is, I know you're, correct me if I'm wrong, you're running for city council for District 2. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you kind of tell us exactly what that entails? Because I know a lot of people don't know what that means.
Okay, I think 2022, they have separate all this Burlingame into 5 districts, and my district is do you know where California where the fire station is?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
by Palm Palm Drive,
Mhm.
and it's mostly between El Camino and California Drive.
Okay. Got
So
it.
that's mostly of my district. There's a little area up by Walnut,
Mhm.
that's, just a little it looked like a little hat. And then, from Broadway,
Mhm.
we cut through Broadway, and mostly it's commercial zoned and all the way to the water.
Got it. Got it. And who are you running against?
There are 4 of us running, and it's really an honor to run against these 3 other great women, because I think everybody's trying to do something good for our city. And it's funny because one district there's 1 person running
Right.
for 1 seat, and the other district there are 2, including our mayor Donna Coulson.
Mhm.
And in our district, there's 4 of us, and all of us. Nomana has run twice, and um, everybody else is pretty much first timers.
That's awesome. It's always good to have like new blood in there with fresh perspectives. So I think that's fantastic. I live in Millbrae, and I think there's a couple of districts that are just being run uncontested. So
Yeah.
it's good to have more people involved. Yeah. So I have to say I've thought about running, but I'm I did the opposite thing that you did, which is I just focused on myself.
Well,
Just focused on my
because
business.
your kid is still young. My
Yeah.
kids, there, one's 13, one's 15. And I was actually thinking, well, maybe I should wait for 4 years. But I don't think in 4 years I will have the energy I have right now because right now I'm just still all over the place. I feel like I can do everything. I want to change the world. And so probably in 4 years, I just want to retire. So those are the things why it motivates me. And I think the change, if we don't start right now, we don't work on it right now, I don't know what's going to look like in 4 years.
Yeah.
And I moved here because of quality of life, and I moved here because it was always being a dream of mine to be able to live in such a great city. I mean, I always work in the area. I starting off at the Hyatt Regency San Francisco Airport, and then because of the kids, I was like, oh, I need a second job. And then I become a realtor.
Yeah.
Um, then my night job become my day job. And everything else was history. We know each other for a long time. And I just really, really appreciate to be on here on your show.
Yeah. No, no, no. This is a live conversation. So I think it's just cool for you to come on just because, well, my followers, the plenty of them live in the Burlingame area
Mhm,
and we have all of these politicians that are running for office, and you know what? We don't get to hear from them. At
mhm.
least the average person doesn't get to hear from them very often. So I wanted to reach out to you because we're personal friends and our business kind of runs into each other all the time. So I wanted to get you on here
Mhm.
and just kind of talk about like all the things that are going to be important to you, because what's important to you, chances are, is going to be important to somebody else.
Yes.
So I just need you to get on here, talk to people, and I think everybody would appreciate it. So I don't want to take too much of your time. Again, I realize you have kids and you have a busy business to run. So thank you again, Rachel, for taking the time. And we're definitely going to be watching you.
Thank you, Bert. And I'm always walking with you when you're on the street and you put on Facebook and
Oh,
yeah,
those are all
I
just
do
silly.
follow.
Cool, Rachel. All right. I'll talk to you later. Take care
Talk
of
to you
yourself.
soon. Have a
See
great
ya.
day. Bye bye.